video highlight is brought to you by our wall of famers who make it possible for me to carve time out of my very busy real life schedule and do what it is that I love to do. Be with you. Thank you. All right, the official 4.2 Stormbreaker released here on Star Citizen's YouTube channel. Hi, welcome to DG360. If this is your first time here, you want to push the like or share and you're on YouTube, get your butt over here live with the amazing people in our live audience right now at Star Citizen After Dark. Let's check out the 4.2 Stormbreaker, which just dropped. 4.2 just dropped, so I'm going to be going fast this entire stream because I want to try it out. And I'm telling you what, I'm super excited. I'm having a great time with Star Citizen. Let's just check this out and let's see what Ray has to say, my internet father, about Stormbreaker right after this.
Day 96. This is it. The breakthrough I knew would happen. The specimen holds answers far beyond their comprehension. Even the infants serve my purpose. They need an end to the regen crisis, and I will deliver it, despite my colleagues' protests. That is why I am essential.
Oh boy.
Where they see life, my mind sees the design. The data locked in flesh that must be...
Oh man, what you doing up in here?
Harvested. Science will not cower to moralistic fear. Progress requires clarity, not sentiment. To discover is to survive. To evolve is to rule.
Stop it!
Once again, they put their future in the hands of science, yet still refuse to trust its judgment, its results. It's my responsibility to push forward. I must. I will save us all.
Damn, what'd you have to do that for? That is Dr. Logan Jorrit, who is an evil scientist that works at Associated Science and Development, ASD as they call it. And apparently he never watched old school, 1990s entertainment, because if he had watched Jurassic Park, he would have known never to do that. I mean, come on, Dr. Logan Jorrit. Watch yourself some classics. I mean, you could have watched that and saved everybody some trouble, Dr. Logan Jorrit. And what is Associated Science and Development up to? Somebody needs to rein that guy in, for God's sake. And shareholders, I would quickly divest. Sell your shares in that company right now. I know they're responsible for a lot of quantum research, but give me a break. Look what they created. All right, now my internet father, Ray, is going to tell us what Stormbreaker is and why SIG isn't saying it. This sounds maybe scathing. This sounds like an internet father who is going to tell us the problems. And I will, it's going to be difficult for me to add any criticism as he is my internet father, and it is very hard to get a word in edgewise. Just like my real father, I did not like to talk back to my father. But let's see here what he says. Okay, any day now. All right.
Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide, the official introduction of Stormbreaker content that will form the centerpiece of the 4.2 release happened in the latest Inside Star Citizen. And while the visuals are impressive and the challenges, well, challenging, it made me wonder if the content team actually knows what certain words mean in game design, or if they are intentionally mislabeling them because they are uneasy about giving them an accurate description. So let's start with sandbox.
It is a sandbox activity.
That is not what sandbox means. It is not even remotely close to what sandbox means.
Just like you can the Align and Mine sandbox activity.
A sandbox game is a type of video game that emphasizes player freedom and creativity, allowing them to explore and interact with the game in a non-linear fashion.
Woo! Shots fired. Internet father going off. He's right. He's right. That's because he's old school. That's because he's old school. And that's classically how a sandbox is defined. Freedom, Danger. A lot of things that PvEers and kids don't like these days. They don't even know what a sandbox is these days. He's right. I love Elliot. I absolutely love Elliot. Cool dude, hangs out on the channel, but Ray is right here. My internet father is right. It seems like the younger generation are afraid of danger, and they don't quite understand what a sandbox is. Now, Aether would like you to know that this is what I sound like when I talk. And Aether says, well, hello there. Howdy, big man. Another well-deserved Bezos sub. How big is your worm? Well, we all know the answer to that. I can barely see it. I'm sorry to say that. I wish that it was larger. Not irradiated, like what we're seeing from Stormbreaker. But he says, well, don't worry. It's not the size of the worm, but how well it burrows. Okay. Aether.
It often features open world environments where players can roll and choose their own activities rather than following a predefined storyline or a set of objectives. That's what Sandbox is. Yes, the main thing about Sandbox is its lack of predetermined structure.
Yes, and I think this is the misunderstanding here. I think how Elliot meant this, he used Sandbox, which he necessarily shouldn't have used, but what Elliot's trying to get across, and you know, pardon me if I'm speaking for Elliot here, but I believe what Elliot's trying to say is he's trying to create a dynamic event where both PvEers and PvPers can get involved. I think that's really what he meant by that. And, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, Ray, you are my internet father. I'm just trying to say, yes, he did use a term incorrectly, but I think what Elliot's trying to get across is that there is a convergence of PvE and PvP, and there can be like a dynamic event happening, even though it's structured, even though there's a path, and you can get in or you can get out at will. And that's what I think Elliot's trying to convey here. Okay. T-Con says he's right, but I think they're calling it a sandbox activity because SC is a sandbox game right now, and the worm is an activity that's available but unnecessary to do. Right. And what we're seeing, T-Con, is we're seeing these areas being seeded in like crazy this year. We have THUR, now we have StormBreaker. We're going to have plenty of others along the way where they're going to keep seeding in these types of events and giving people content and places to go and things to do where PvEers and PvPers can do these things at will. That to me is progress. That to me is smart. And if you notice, if you've been playing, there are a lot more players about. A lot of these changes and a lot of these things that are being implemented right now, there are a lot of people playing Star Citizen right now. I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you've been playing the game, you have noticed it is very populated. I'm not a big fan of Tier 0, right? I'm not at all with that. I want consequences. I like Death of a Spaceman, but in this phase that we're at, and because it cuts down the amount of time to get ready and go out and do things again once you die, it's keeping people playing. It's keeping people playing. And you're seeing population increase, and you're seeing more and more people get interested, and you're seeing a kind of new way that Cloud Imperium's going about putting in the content. They realize when they start putting in these types of events, more people stick around and they stay, and there's more things to do. And what happens? More ships get sold. That's why this year is going gangbusters. That's why this year is really going much better than I had initially anticipated. At fall last year, I was thinking, but now we're midway through this year, and damn, revenues are pouring in. So I think they got they need to do improvements with how they release ships and getting ships done, obviously. The pipeline, though, in terms of the sales and the amount of attention and the amount of ships that are selling between CitizenCon and the UEE Invictus events, they've figured that out. They're bringing in revenue that way. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, they're figuring out the leveling and level design and how to bring in these types of content pieces that are dynamic events. And guess what? That's like additional revenue hitting on ships. They're starting to figure things out a little bit better. They're getting the bonus of the content that they're bringing in with dynamic events. Plus, they're trying to streamline the ships. And by the way, I think they need to increase the amount of people that are in the actual ship dev team, ship design team, and really, really start bringing out ships that we've been waiting on for a very long time. I think that should be the primary number one focus, is to restore confidence in the player base that have bought ships that have been waiting on forever. BMM. Okay.
Yet StormBreaker is highly structured. Go here, get this, go there, listen to that, go there, get that special mech, get that thing. Then put that thing in that special place, release the boss mob to get the unique loot from the boss mob. Wait for the reset timer, repeat. And then
well, okay, but Ray, listen. This, fortunately or unfortunately, is what the people want. And this is from Ray and I are old school. Ray's more old school than I am. He's my internet father, of course. We know what the traditional meaning of sandbox is, the definition of it. He's let us know. I agree with him. We come from the old world of gaming. That's what we like. We like danger. We don't care if people are crying about shit. We figure it out on our own, and we love watching the chaos in general chat when people are crying because there's cargo containers at Area 18 or inside of inside of New Babbage at Microtech. I laugh. I'm living out of my shit, man. I don't have to worry about such things. I found a way to adapt and survive and have fun playing the game. I'm having a blast. Right? So I'm coming from a world where when I see this shit in general chat, they're like, we need a mod right now! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark in general chat. And another guy goes, yeah, this is some bullshit, man. I can't even get out of this and I can't even get out of that. Fuck this shit and fuck that shit. I'm laughing my ass off. Because I'm coming from an old school PvP danger sandbox. I'm adapting and I'm loving it. It's funny as hell to me. Right. But the population, the general gamer these days, are these people in general chat bitching and saying, I want content. I want an egg that I have to get from point A to point B and then place it in a box. Like Ray's bitching about this shit, right? And I understand. I kind of am on the same page as Ray. You know? Let me just be free and fly in space and have a great fucking time and do what it is that I want to do. Live free in the stars, man. Be dangerous. Have fun, right? I could land at a station. I could land on a planet. I could land on a moon. I don't care. I'm having a blast. I go anywhere. I adapt. I have a great time. I'm looking at the environment. I'm doing certain missions. I'm checking things out. I'm having a blast. I'm blowing people up. I'm going inside of Polaris and telling them that I'm a crazy pirate. And they're going to have to deal with me because I'm having a psychotic breakdown right now. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to take over your ship. And then I kill everybody inside the Polaris. And I have a good time doing it.
Yes, sir. You're not going to hate me. Yes.
Some people call that griefing. I just call it a good old-fashioned good time. Okay? It's a sandbox. It's dangerous. It's space. It's fun. I don't get it. Why people get so upset about certain things. This is a game that's this is an alpha still. I hate that I even have to say that. I hate that. It's been forever. It's still an alpha and they're still testing many different angles, but there's fun to be had in this game. And people generally, they want A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, the whole fucking alphabet. They want it over and over and over again. They want to be led in a direction. They need steps, and they call it content. And that is how everybody is these days. 80% of people that play games, that's what they call content. What Ray is bitching about right now, that's called content. I love watching it. I think the events are cool. I love the THUR event. I love what I'm looking at with StormBreaker. I can't wait to try this out. I'm going to have a blast. I'm going to have fun. I like to do this stuff. And I like the fact that there's PvE and PvP combined, right? At least it's PvE and PvP combined. You can come in, you can cause some crazy shit. It's an event. It's a dynamic event in a sandbox. That's what Elliot meant to say. And the more of these they seed in there, and more content is being brought to the 80-90% of people that want that. And then the more it translates into sales, and then it can give me the game that I want, where I can fly around and go inside a Polaris that somebody left the hangar door open, and then just go in general chat and just have a lot of fucking fun and tell them I'm having a psychotic breakdown. I'm sorry I've entered your Polaris. I'm going to have to take it over. And I just want to let you know, I'm giving you like a couple minutes to get out of here. Otherwise, I'm going to have to kill everybody inside the Polaris. And trust me, a lot of fun was had. A lot of fun was had. They had something to do. I gave them content. I was the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P. I put my ass in this Polaris and gave them content. I was StormBreaker. I was THUR. I made their day. There were a couple people that weren't very happy about it and got pissed off, but I made their day. I got in there. I drove for a little bit. I flew it around for a little bit. I had a great time. Players, I got a picture in the Discord. You guys can all check it out. If only my OBS actually worked, I would record the whole goddamn thing. And I thought that was fun.
We're at it. Exploration.
StormBreaker is all about taking the next step in exploration gameplay.
Again, no matter how many interesting things are encountered along the way, anything that you can go on YouTube and get a walkthrough video precisely laying out everything is not exploration.
It isn't, but it's what? Say it with me, everybody. Content. Starting to get the picture, everybody? The shit that I bitch about all the time that you're just telling me to shut up on both sides of the spectrum, whether a PvP or PvE, you're like, shut up, DG, we know this. I'm just making sure that you really do understand. What Ray is saying is like, hey, you can go and you can figure all this shit out on YouTube through a walkthrough tutorial. If you're having a hard time with this, then you can find 15 different Star Citizen content creators because it's so saturated that's going to give you a guide to go from point A to point B. And guess what? They'll get a lot of views on that and people will play it. And do you know why? Because why? It's called content. Is it like really my flavor? No. Am I glad they're putting it in there? Yeah. Why am I glad that they're putting it in there? Well, it's cool eye candy. I like to watch this shit. I like to get involved in this shit. Hey, okay, not my jam particularly, but guess what? Why do I like it? Because 80 to 85 to 90% of people, well, they like it. And guess what? That means that translates into more sales. Content, people, content. What's up, Ark? How you doing? Glad to see you raiding over here. 19 viewers being brought over by Ark. Thank you so much. If we can shout out Ark here. How was your stream, Ark? Thank you very much for everybody who just arrived from Ark's stream. We're talking about content. We're talking about sandboxes, and we're listening to my internet father, Ray. Ray's guide is letting us know what his opinion on a StormBreaker. And I can't wait to hop into 4.2. I've been having a blast playing. I am having a good one, Ark, and it's good to see you. Everybody go up there and follow. How am I not following Ark? I'm following you right now, Ark. Sorry. I just pushed the little heart. Everybody go and push that little heart and follow my friend Ark up there in our chat. And thank you, Uninspired. Appreciate your follow. You're an algorithm now, bro.
The absurd thing is that Star Citizen is so huge that exploration is essentially already baked in. Exploration means finding something that nobody else has found out and then profiting from that discovery. Star Citizen could have all the exploration gameplay it would ever need simply by adding the ability to create your own markers and then being able to sell access to those markers to others.
Yes, absolutely. Creating markers. And I think the first step that we're seeing are larger ships that you own being able to be marked in space, which is super awesome. There was a guide that I watched, some dude who took a Hercules and used it as a base in space to use as a mining platform, which I thought was really cool for mining operations, and he just stored the ore containers inside there, which I thought was a really good idea. So we will see what Ray is talking about in the future, but Ray is absolutely right. That shit needs to be happening like right now. That should have already been in the game. Totally agree with Ray on that. Another thing that I don't know if Ray is going to mention, scanning. Long range scanning should literally be in this game right now. Like scanning, put a 1 if you guys agree with me. Shouldn't we already have like long range scanning and ships like the Terrapin and other ships that are focused on scanning actually doing their job? Like this is actually what Ray is saying is 110% right. Bookmarks, being able to add places of interest, and actually being able to long-range scan should already have happened. Should already have happened. And it could be a lot easier than the amount of work that they're pouring into this, which, you know, again, I'm appreciative of this, but come on, let's go, guys.
Just add that little game feature, and exploration is covered simply because of the scope of the verse. But that's a game feature, and you know about game features in 2025. So instead, we have CIG pretending that they're actually not at all exploration stuff is exploration, and that they're not at all sandbox stuff is sandbox. But if StormBreaker isn't sandbox and it isn't exploration, then what is it?
It's, say it with me again, people. I got to tell my internet, every once in a while, I like to teach my internet father. I like to teach him things. And I think I've done a pretty good job. It is what, everybody? Content. This is what the younger generations like. They want to like have A, B, C, D objectives. They want to go around and like the cool thing that I like is at least Elliot allows people to come in that are PvPers and have their fun with this event. I call these dynamic events, and I call what they're doing content. And this is why more and more people are coming to the game and spending more money on ships, you know? Yes, it's an activity made of much content. Yes, Hugh, you are an absolute gentleman. Where is the Hugh button at?
Hugh is an upstanding gentleman.
Right, Fingers, you're right. It's when like the carnival is in town type of content. Yes, Fingers, it is. Fingers, where's this button? Right.
Fingers, 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 fingers.
Yes. So that's what it is.
What is the actually accurate term for StormBreaker that they apparently aren't willing to use? StormBreaker is a raid, specifically an epic superboss raid. It is pretty much a textbook example of one. It has all the characteristics of an epic superboss raid.
Yeah.
And epic raids are not an unusual thing in MMOs.
Right.
Going all the way back to the earliest ones. So why is CIG being so reluctant to describe StormBreaker for what it actually is and trying instead to label it what it is clearly not? Because epic raids have some very common faults. Faults which were evident in the THUR content in 4.1.1 as well, and are already showing even more strongly in the open PTU of StormBreaker in 4.2. Epic raids gravitate towards being dominated by large, high-commitment orgs. Often orgs specifically established and mobilized for dominating access to the raid in general, and particular to the unique loot.
Right, and they farm the shit out of it. And that has been in gaming since the very beginning of time with World of Warcraft and other type of titles. This is just like common knowledge, and he's right. This is just content that's releasing like raid type events, and people come in. I never had an issue with like large organizations coming in farming these things. My point of view is this, and this again shows my age. Just come in with a group that knows what the fuck they're doing and kick their ass. I mean, to me, it makes it a fun thing to try and bring people together to go over there and kick the org's ass. And then claim it for our own until another org comes along and kicks our ass, which is going to be very hard to do, but a hell of a good time. And this is also, the point is with Star Citizen and the scale that it is going to be, doing this is not a bad idea. Because what you're going to have are you're going to have different areas like this, StormBreaker, THUR, and other areas in the future that are planned, where orgs will come in and they will sit down and they'll farm these. And some orgs are going to own them, and some orgs are not, and some other orgs are going to own other areas. So, like for me, if a system has 5 or 6 raid points, right? And orgs are coming in and they're trying to farm these raid points, that I don't necessarily see as a bad thing. I see it as a good time. Because you come in and you can come in and try and take it from the org with another org that's just as large or more skilled. And that to me is content because I like that type of content, right? A lot of people would disagree with that. Generally, the people that just want to go in and be led through this A, B, C, D, E, F, G and have like a PvE event, and then they're the ones that get pissed off and they're like, oh, I can't do anything because this large org is sitting on it, right? It's hard to balance these types of things. One way to balance these types of things is to seed a shit ton of these things in and a shit ton of systems, so that if you have like a lot of these types of areas around, that it then becomes much more difficult, because we're talking about a larger and larger scale, right? Where some of these might not even be choke points, or some of these might not even be held by any organization, because there's just so many of them. And I think that's kind of like the plan here. At this point, this is a very beginning point. I applaud Cloud Imperium for doing these types of things to bring more people in, to get people interested and entertained and have content, right? It's bringing more asses to the seats. It's bringing more people coming in and playing. It's bringing more revenue in. And frankly, they just started this type of thing, right? They just started doing this type of thing, if you think about it. And it's created some type of success. Let's keep going.
Unless you are lucky enough to come into a very low pocket.
And Wookie says we will have dozens of these, and I think we'll even have more than dozens. Yeah, I think eventually we will have more than dozens of these, Wookie, and that's the whole point. And then what you're going to have is you're going to have people upset because some systems are going to have 2 or 3 of these in their system. Some systems are going to have none. Some systems are going to have, more than 3, right? So some systems will have more of these points. And then what's going to happen? Then the org will lock down the system. And then that's when you're the next stage. Like right now, what you're going to find is these 2 raid areas are going to be locked down by certain orgs. Then as more and more and it starts to expand out and the scale starts to expand out, you'll see different orgs start to farm these areas and lock them down. Then when there's even more of these areas in multiple systems, right? Then the systems will start to get locked down. And then people will go, well, they own the whole fucking system. Yeah, hi, welcome to MMOs, people. See, and that's where I think the disconnect lies. When people don't realize that what they're doing is they're logging into an MMO, and there's the shit that happens in an MMO. You cannot help to do anything about it. To bitch about it's ridiculous. That's why in general chat, when I'm playing Star Citizen, I see general chat start scrolling down, and I saw like last night everybody's bitching about containers that, some people are getting blocked off by people that are putting containers at Area 18 and New Babbage, and they were bitching about it. I was laughing because I'm like, hey man, I found ways to live where I can just live inside my ship, and I don't need to really go to these stations a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a matter of people, I think, getting a little too upset a little too quickly.
Population shard, the small org has almost zero chance in succeeding in this event. Not simply because of the size of the opposition, but because the raid org is going to kill them if they get even close to the raid loot. Now, you might say, well, those individuals and small parties should get together and represent a challenge to the raid org. Except without the basic party organizing, identification, and coordination tools previewed at the Manchester Citizen Con, that is hard to accomplish. But
that's a really good point by my internet father, right? Because the counter argument was the one I laid out, which is like, well, you just get your word together and you get more skilled people or larger numbers. You go in, you kick the ass of the organization, right? And Ray's point is like, well, okay, that's all good and all, but there's no tools in the game to help you out yet. Like they said that was going to happen at CitizenCon, or at least in the future within this year. Let's hope that happens sometime soon. That should be something that needs to be figured out soon.
It's game features and 2025 and game features. So I'm left with either the possibility that the game content team doesn't actually know what these basic terms like sandbox and exploration mean in a game, or they do know and are using these other terms because they know that if they're honest and call it a Super Boss Epic Raid, they're going to be even more accused of having the best, coolest, and newest stuff locked behind forcing just one type of gameplay, FPS, which is A, and also locked behind having to belong to a large high-commitment org, which is also A. Or to put it another way, when he says,
I'm really excited to see what Discover
You
it.
may think that you means you, and maybe even he thinks that you means you, but unless you are in a large, high-commitment, FPS-focused org, you is not you. You is them. Now, a sensible retort to this is that nothing is being forced, and the player that just doesn't have the time or inclination to join a raid org can just play as suits them, and then, for that Atlas ICTI, for example, negotiate to buy one from those that do. And that would make sense, except that these org leaders are not, as a group, known for their 5-star reputation of their business dealings. And not only that, but even the most basic support for in-game player-to-player commerce is years behind where it should be.
Yep.
But the casual player might be aided from an unexpected source. Because I look at this bit from the ISC and
Battle vehicles that can only be earned in game.
I think, well, bless their dear hearts. They actually think that they have the ability to make that policy decision and have it stick once the marketing department sniffs the ability to sell 500,000 ICTI at $50 each with LTI. Because what makes me feel that? Well, this guy.
Our actual idea is there's a few ships that we want to.
Ray's got a
have
good
you play
take on this.
squadron, and if you get to the point in squadron that you get to fly them, then you get the badge to be able to get that ship in the position.
So yeah, if he can't make a permanent exception to the we sell ships revenue model, and you think he can, well, bless your heart. And now for an update on the giveaways. First, we have the video content.
Yeah, I mean, damn. Ray's got a really good take on that. Overall summation is that people of LES age and younger really, I think, kind of got to take a moment and say, like, what is sandbox play, right? I think also when Elliot was talking that it was a sandbox event, he meant it in the way that it's more like a dynamic event where PvEers and PvPers come in and you have the choice to do it or not to do it. And both PvEers and PvPers are there. But Ray's giving you the real here. You know, these are raid events. And yes, orgs are just going to lock it down, and that's what's going to happen. And frankly, that's just the way it is, man. It's an MMO, and it's structured to be that way. And I don't know what you can do to stop it from being that way, really. It's a great talk.